Well, good evening and welcome to this edition of the Island Stat Sports Show. I'm your host, Earl Baston. Joining me is co-host Jason Jugman J. Ford. And our guest this evening to start off this evening is Dr. Freddie Evans, the president of the Bermuda National Athletic Association. First of all, gentlemen, good evening. It's another Wednesday night. Let's talk a little bit about track and field, Jay. Dr. Evans, this coming weekend you have some young people heading overseas for another opportunity to qualify for Carifta. Um, can you just give us an insight on where you're going and how many of these athletes are going?
Good evening, gentlemen. Earl, Jay, thank you for the opportunity. I'm happy to discuss that, but I would be remiss if I didn't start out by thanking you both for the work that you do to ensure that sports are shared and communicated and Bermudian athletes are celebrated. I appreciate your work, and I'm just really glad that you've given us the opportunity to talk about it because track is back.
I like that.
Yeah, so this is the first time we've taken a team off the island since January 2020. So it's been a while, and that COVID hiatus has slowed us down, but we are trying to resurrect from that hiatus and do some really good things. So on Friday morning, we're going to take 10 athletes away to Miramar, Florida to compete in the Speed Capital Invitational. What's unique about Speed Capital, there'll be 1,000 athletes there from 20 states and now 2 countries. Bahamas is sending 7 clubs. And so we'll be joining them as we're actually in the same hotel with the Bahamas too. So we'll be the international representatives. And it'll give our athletes a good chance to, one, compete against people of their peers in a big track meet setting, and to kind of find out where they are and where we need to be to try to prepare for Carifta. So excited about the opportunity.
Yeah, you've had four track meets thus far this year. That includes the mini one last week. But it seems kind of you say track is back. How do you think the athletes are adjusting to the fact that there's a big age gap in between because you have a lot of mixed races as well? But how do you think the athletes are adjusting to being back in action, having been off for so long?
Well, our numbers are down in a lot of ways. I mean, COVID, and I'm sure all sports are feeling this, just kind of took the momentum away from our efforts. However, as you know, and for Bermuda public, those who are in college are competing at a high level. So we're going to have a strong under 20 contingent. Where we have to develop is going to be the under 17s. We won't have a large under 17 team, but we're going to have some, and they're going to compete well. We have 2 young ladies who have qualified thus far in that division, too, by the way. Sanaya Cumbermatch competed last Saturday in the 800, and she hit the qualifying standard. We're really excited about her. And Jada Grant, Jada has developed into a mature athlete who knows her ambition, and I'm really excited for her. So Jada qualified in the 8 and the 15, and next week or on the weekend she'll run the 8, 15, and 3,000. And I'll just spend a second on Jada for this meet because she's qualified. She's really in form. We're just really testing her strength levels. We want to see how well she does in these quick turnarounds because that's what Carifta is going to be. We haven't decided whether or not she'll run the 3,000 yet at Carifta, but so we'll have her in this meet running the 3,000, coming off day 1 running 15 and 8. So we'll see where her endurance is and where she is, and we'll build from that. But her coaches, Jay Donawa and Devon Bean from the national side and Cal, are really excited about her progression and, think she's going to continue to develop into something special.
Sure. Jay?
Dr. Evans, glad to have you on, man. And like I said, track is back. I'm glad because obviously the 2 years that's been in basically a hiatus the unknown. I'm glad that now we're starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel, especially for these young athletes, because just by how many athletes have qualified who have gone to CRIFTA prior, or these are all new athletes.
At the senior level, two
Yeah.
athletes have qualified. That would be Caitlin Bob and Nathan Armstrong, and they are CRIFTA veterans.
Cool.
At the younger level, it's Jada and Sanaya, and they haven't been there before. But one thing that, as people measure, and we were talking about this at the track the other day, if we had the Bermuda CRIFTA, some of these young people would have emerged as serious stars on the Bermuda sports scene. A young man like Sancho Smith would have been under 17, and he was a medal candidate in the 4 and the 8 under 17. He's missed those 2 years because of COVID. Now he's in the under 20 division, and he's traveling with us on Friday too. And Sancho is meticulous about training. He works really hard. We expect great things from him, but he would have been a leader in that under 17 division if we could have had CRIFTA. Caitlin Bob would have just took it to a different level being in Bermuda if we had a chance to run the CRIFTA. The young lady Izzy Detroit, to be here and people see her win the 15 and 3,000 on home soil just would have taken it to another level. And I think it would have sparked an enthusiasm for the sport that we would have tried to grow on that momentum. And so, it's heartbreaking for those athletes that they didn't get the opportunity, but we keep telling them we can't turn back the clock. All we can do is go forward and make it happen now.
Doc, we've seen a few years ago this emergence of young female athletes dominate the scene, and then all of a sudden they all kind of disappeared. And this was prior to COVID and everything. How are we looking to ensure that the same things don't repeat themselves, kind of that we try to keep them involved in the sport?
Well, I think that happens for all sports. And one thing that we do a lot of pushing and work with is helping young ladies and their parents understand that there are opportunities for scholarships through track and field. If they maintain the grades and continue their progression through track, and I tell everyone, we can find a place. If you wish to run at university college level, there's a place for you. Okay, but they're not going to come to Bermuda and find you. We had to go out and find them. And it's just, there's a lot of opportunities. Now, the same part of that question, COVID actually changed that dynamic too, because universities have backlogs of scholarships that they have to continue with because these athletes didn't matriculate because of COVID and they didn't have their chance to compete. So, it's been a tough 2 years for these guys. But, right now, the lion's share of athletes training are still as young ladies, and we hope to keep them. And another thing that we have that we hadn't had in a long time is older young ladies still in the sport. That's that role model trend. So, we have so many in college, we have so many in high school overseas. And so when they all come back home, it's role models time. They set the standard, and those girls want to be like them and do those kind of things too. So I think we're in good shape.
Yeah. So let's get back on track for this weekend. Who else are some of the ones you're looking forward to this particular weekend in getting that opportunity to better their time, better their throw, better their leap?
So let's start with the young guys and work our way up. Miles Outerbridge, this will be his first international track meet. Miles trains with Norbert Simons. He's a 100, 200 meter runner who has stayed very dedicated and has trained really hard. And so, as you can imagine, it's really hard to do a personal best time in Bermuda when you're running against the same people yourself. So to be in an environment where there will be 100 runners of his age group, and his time has got him into a fast heat. His seated time has got him into fast heats. So we're looking for Miles to do really well. Dalen Scott is another first timer. He's a veteran of East Coast. And East Coast will be is similar to this, except 500 more athletes.
You're right.
Dalen is a a really hardworking young man who has aspirations to go to school. I mean, since he's been in primary school, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to run at Florida State. And so he's always tried to line up his progressions to do that. And so we watched him mature into a confident young fella. So we're looking for good things from him. In that same age group, in the young lady side, Arima Turner. Arima's coming off a slight injury. So for her, this meet is, we want her to regain her confidence. I think Arima will hit the standard, but we got to get out there, shake off the cobwebs, get a chance to get those real competitive juices flowing and just get it out of it. Like I had to talk with her yesterday. Turn off your brain, let your body work. Stop thinking, just run. And then in that same age group, Elise Dickerson. And Elise is also coming off a little injury, but I was telling her, Elise, I'm not worried about you. You're really rounding into form. She's going to do the high jump, and she's going to do the 8. And in each, you just see her developing more. So as we get closer to April, if it doesn't happen here, if she continues on the track she's on, she'll be fine. So I'm excited for her. In the older age group, we could talk about Masasi Maxwell Smith. Masasi's going to do the long jump in the 100. She's already been offered a scholarship to North Michigan University. So she's right on that track. We'd like to see Masasi qualify at this meet in both events. Janaz Richards is just entering that older group, not under 20s, but she's on the older end of the under 17s. And Janaz I'm personally proud of her because we've watched her since she was 5. And she's always been around the track because her father's a coach.
Right.
And her father's done a really good job of letting her blossom on her own. And so now you see that she's really into what she's doing, and her preparation organization every day at the track is better and better, and she's running really well. So we expect good things from her. Talk about the last couple guys would be Jalen Grant. Jalen has also emerged as a really strong 400-meter runner. He's also coached by Norbert Simons. Jalen also plays football, so he's in between both sports. But I think for him, that's paying dividends because he's so much stronger this year. And he did the cross-country season, and he grew about 3 inches. So, and I see his confidence growing, so I expect really good things from him too. And then finally, rounding out that team with Sancho Smith, and we've talked a lot about Sancho. Sancho just needs the competition. I think, not to put undue pressure on him, but Sancho qualified this weekend. He just needs that run. He just needs to get out there with somebody who's running with him, and so he can walk them down and demonstrate his strength, and he'll be fine.
Sure. He looked really strong on Saturday, but as you said, without having someone to push or pull, you kind of, you hear the time, but you just don't have that extra incentive of chasing or being chased.
And Saturday was a tough day to be by yourself in all that wind. Every time you hit the back stretch, he's running to a headwind. So that's the difference between him not running qualifying time Saturday. So he'll get out a couple races, he'll be fine. Yeah.
But we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll have more with the president of the Bermuda National Athletics Association, Dr. Freddie Evans. We'll be right back.
John Barrett & Son, our favorite beverage distributor, is bringing us an up-to-the-minute spin on the ever-popular Perrier Sparkling Spring Water. Perrier Energized, the plant-based organic energy water powered by caffeine sourced from organic green coffee and organic yerba mate, a medicinal herb from Paraguay. New Perrier Energized is lightly sweetened with organic cane sugar, so it's low in calories and has as much caffeine as an 8-ounce cup of coffee. Try all 3 flavors of Perrier Energized: grapefruit, pomegranate, and tangerine. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends, and that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
Welcome back, Jay.
Yeah, so Dr. Evans, so let me put on my other hat because I think you might appreciate where I'm going to go with this. So I got excited just now hearing these new names. I love hearing new names, but it also brings a curiosity. So from the administration side of it, or even from the athlete side of it, how much of these athletes are also working on their media profiles? So when the person who's trying to follow these athletes, is there opportunity? Have they built up their social media platforms? Has the association have a social media platform so we can follow these athletes? And also with these athletes, they will end up finding and meeting new friends along the way, especially in these competitions. They will have their own platforms, and now they can compare times and relationships, because that's the language of these young folk now, right? It's through a lot of the social media. So what is the association or parents doing for their brands and keeping them abreast of what's going on?
I appreciate the question, Jason, and I think it's timely. I know that from even when my son Aaron was competing, the development of the profile, that social media profile, allowed him to communicate with athletes that he met through Carifta and everything else, and actually framed on he understood schools he was interested in because of some of his friends who talked to him. But to get you to answer your question, Jay, anybody who knows me know I don't have a social media presence. And actually, we were talking about as BNA president, I probably need to, at least to send out some things that represent the office. But I still don't have a social media. I don't know Facebook or none of that. So I haven't pushed that. But I do acknowledge that it is something that would enhance what these athletes are doing, and they should. Also, as they get to the college level, and I know from the athletes that I've been working with and who are part of our program, they have to learn how to use social media responsibly, because universities don't play that. You have to represent them too, and in your media presentation, you're representing them too. So it probably would be of our interest in to teach athletes how to be responsible before they get to that level.
Yes.
So I'll own that one and try to get better, but yeah, no social media for me yet.
No, I say that because a lot of times, if COVID has really changed a lot of this media. But even now, look what we're doing now. We're streaming or we're Zoom or StreamYard. But you see a lot of these events now. Once upon a time, you had to go to the event to actually see the event. Now you're seeing a lot more streaming of events online. So in saying that, will this event be streamed online? Will the folks back home be able to see this event?
Actually, and if you don't mind, I had to read. I had to refer to these notes because I don't know it off the top of my head. But they have live results at results.adkinstrak.com. Results.adkinstrak.com. They have a live stream at trackalerts.com. And then if you want to check the Capital Speed website, it's speedcapital.com.
The only thing is Track Alert sometimes doesn't work in Bermuda. It's a U.S. based network. So yeah, sometimes you might get lucky, other times you may not. So yeah.
Hopefully.
So Speed Capital is a network run by a gentleman. CEO is Luke Robinson, and he does this throughout the North America and going down to as far south as Florida. So this is one of the series in what Speed Capital does. And when you have an invitational, you get 1,000 athletes, it must be something big. And I don't know, Earl, if you had a chance to look at the Miramar Stadium. It is off the chain. It's a brand new facility. It's a Mondo track. It's a pro track, 9 straightaway lanes. So what that means, Jason, in the Bermuda public, it's going to be a firm, fast track. It's nothing to train on. Like our track is not Mondo. We didn't do that because it's a recreational track. It's also our training track, and you can't have athletes pounding on something that firm all the time, or it's deleterious to their development.
Right.
But this track, one race, so I'm expecting some good fast times against some really good athletes. And you know how, with no disrespect intended, you know how Americans like to try to show off. So we're going to be right there in the mix trying to show off too.
Let's get it. Let's get it, man.
Let's get it too.
Well, when you also have these athletes going, who's part of the coaching staff that will be traveling with these young people to ensure we can get the most out of them?
Our team manager will be Miss Chantel Gibbons. Chantel is the parent of Jada Grant and Jalen Grant, so the mother, and she's going to be their team manager. And Norbert Simons is going to head up the delegation as head coach. So we have, just really excited about the possibility. And I want to just throw this in there just for everybody to know. This wasn't a selected team. We opened it up to everyone, whoever was interested in trying to go.
Okay.
And while we're on it, so like I said, we haven't been away since January 2020 with a team when we went to the Bahamas. It was our intention to go back to the Bahamas this year, but they had COVID issues. So the president of NACAC called me and said, there's a meet in Florida. I'm going to have my secretary send you the information. And so I'm really indebted to him and his secretary, Nikita Thompson, because they helped to do the groundwork to connect us back to Speed Capital. Now, come to find out, the meet director is one of our track friends. She worked for AAU, and she's been to Bermuda before when the AAU team came down here. So it fell together real fast. And the Monica Sneed, meet director, took great care of us. Nikita Thompson from B Trias made sure that we're rooming with, like I said, we're in the same hotel with Bahamas because they wanted to keep us together. There was NACAC to keep us together and have a chance to fellowship prior to Carifta. So, it's a lot of good people that I'm just, really indebted that going to help our athletes get great opportunities.
Okay. But we also have something on the horizon locally. I know you've been behind the scenes working on something exciting, to get people out to watch some international competition. But April 9th has been a date that's been penned in. What can we see, or how far along are we for the plans of April 9th?
Earl, thank you for asking. And, please understand I'm not being coy. It's not 100% yet, but we are so close. We are planning a professional meet on Bermuda shores that will feature our senior athletes, including especially Janai Parent-Chief, Dage Miners, possibly Caitlin Bob and Sakasia Parsons and Katora Bulford Trot. But we haven't sewn it all up. But the idea is we were trying to have a meet. There was a meet in the USA that was canceled. And so a lot of good things started coming Bermuda's way. So since this meet is canceled, we'll try to help you with this, and we'll try to help you with that. So we've got developing different partnerships. One thing I had to say, I would be remiss if I didn't say, BTA, Charles Jeffers, Hazel Clark have been extremely supportive in doing this outreach to try to help us make this happen. And as soon as we have contracts signed, everything nailed down, I'm going to let you and Jay know, and we're going to be ready to celebrate. And, excuse me, the beauty of that is it's the weekend before we depart for Carifta. So if we can pull this off, I think it gives our young athletes some different synergy. Some of those veterans that I just named, especially those young ladies who are in college, to get a chance to be on track with some pro athletes prior to running against the under 20s. That's going to set not only a precedent, but an energy that they're going to carry for a long time. So if we're able to pull this off, Jason, you can expect athletes that you have seen on national TV, who you've seen in the Olympics representing their countries on our shores doing their thing April 9th. And we're going to have a sprinkle of Bermudas in there to keep it going for us.
Yeah. Well, it must be pleasing for the organization to see so many of our athletes doing well, especially indoor, getting ready for outdoor season. But the opportunity to compete at a high level indoor can only boast well, because for people that don't understand, running indoor is kind of different. It's not nowhere near like our kids grow up learning to run outdoor, different strategies, different things. But indoor, you have some banked tracks, you have some the 200-meter tracks, and all sorts of other things. But to see some of the times, is that pleasing for you?
It's pleasing. It's exciting. Your description are so apt. Like I said, people don't know indoors. There's air quality issues sometimes. Bank tracks, different tracks, short. Like Janai Parent-Chief, world leader in the triple jump from Bermuda right now. He hasn't had a full run up yet. Right. He's been doing short run ups, and he's out jumping the world. So yes, that's so exciting. What Caitlin's doing indoors is so exciting. Sakasia Parsons has gotten the opportunity to run indoors and is getting into gear. And I talk to her coach often, and he's really excited about her progress. Katora Bulford didn't get a chance to run indoors, but he says she's training really well. She's at UMBC too. I don't know if you knew that. She's training it up. So he's excited about their progress. And those three ladies were part of the 4-woman team that won that under 17 medal at Carifta. So that's 3 of our 4 relay people at one university. So that only bodes well for our future too.
Sure. Well, I want to wish you all the best for this coming weekend with the team off to Florida. We look forward to some good news of more qualifiers for the Carifta Games. And, just these kids getting the experience and the exposure to keep them interested in a sport that, they seem to be really enjoying week in and week out at the National Sports Center. So, we want to encourage them to keep living their dream, and they get another opportunity to do that this coming weekend.
Yes, sir. As we tell parents, we try to explain to them that, it's not always about winning. It's always about competing, though. Give us your best you got on the day, and we'll figure it out. Same thing when they go to Miramar, Florida. Don't worry about place. Worry about running as hard as you can. 8th place in your race might be a Carifta qualifying time. Mm-hmm. Get out of your head. Go run the race.
There you go. Well, we're going to take another commercial break, and when we come back, we'll be joined by the president of the Bermuda Hockey Federation and the new coach just announced today. We'll be back. But before we go, thank you very much, Mr. Evans. But just an update. Wolves have defeated St. David's in the Shield 2-1, and up at Somerset is Somerset Trojans 0, St. George's Colts 0. We'll be right back.
This month, we're again featuring an important dealer in the whole food industry, Aurora Natural Products, who started in Connecticut in 1998 with 4 employees and now employ hundreds, all devoted to producing a wide variety of all-natural and organic goods to an ever-expanding market. Aurora have become a national leader in the whole food distribution business and are ever mindful of the big picture, monitoring the path of each and every ingredient from their source to your table. Try Aurora Natural Raw Shelled Pistachios. Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
Putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
And welcome back. We want to welcome how do you pronounce it? Coven Moody?
It's Cope. Yeah, it's a bit of a namesake in these times, so
As well as the president of the Hockey Federation, Mr. Keith De Silva. Well, Mr. De Silva, time is running near. It was announced, we had you on last week discussing the tournament, the CAC qualifiers, and now we have in place a coach. Tall order, but at least we've put some things in place. Your thoughts so far?
So far, we're looking good. We have a lot of interest. Like I said last week, we've got a lot of interest. We just missed, because obviously you were here, but we missed a game tonight, and those ladies put in 100% effort. They were, they are hungry to represent. You can see it in their eyes and their play, and it was a great game to watch. So if we continue this momentum, I think that we're going to look good. At least putting the effort in, and fingers crossed that we perform as well as we're doing so far. So, I know it's a lot of pressure on COVID, and it's been it's been great that he's been here so far, and he's really stepped up. We've asked it's a tall order for sure, and we've asked a lot, but he's jumped in both feet, and I think he's going to prepare us well. So. No pressure. But
a quick question: how many spots are up for this competition?
Team size is 18, I believe.
When I say spots to advance,
top two
Okay.
qualify. So right now we've got 3 men's team coming only. So top 2 out of 3 qualify. We just got the okay from FIH to do a double round robin, so at least the men have a lot of games to play, rather than just the women. I believe, COVID, if I'm wrong, is it 4 women's teams?
Yeah, 4.
So top 2 out of that. So we've got to beat 2 other women's teams: Jamaica, Guyana, Puerto Rico, and I think Dominican Republic.
Okay, all right.
No, that's fine. Sorry, not Dominican Republic. Yeah. So,
welcome to the Island Coven. If you've had a chance to see some of the young ladies in action, what's your first impression?
So I've been quite fortunate to have hockey every day here. So every day I've been here, I've been able to get down to the turf and absorb sort of what's here. I think the interest that is attached to the tournament has just brought out a lot of the players. So it's been really good to see that the enthusiasm and participation and just the amount of athletes that are playing the game are, it's quite high. yeah, I'm quite impressed with the work that the coaches have been doing, the structure of the way the sessions have gone, and then as Keith mentioned, to be able to see some of the games, you get to see the hunger as well. So it's been quite cool.
Jay?
Hey, Kevin, once again, welcome to Bermuda and welcome to the show. I would like to ask you, give us a little brief profile on yourself of who Kevin Mooley is, and also what is some of the expertise you'll be bringing to our teams.
Yeah, I'm a South African Safa. So I grew up in South Africa, and I actually grew up playing mostly cricket and football. And at one point, I think my hockey coach saw me playing football and said, "Hey, this guy seems to have an understanding of some stuff. Let's put a stick in his hand and see what happens." Quite young when that phase of my life sort of took off. So I then ended up playing like hockey throughout school. And I actually left the country to go and live in India when I was 15. And during that time, I actually left playing hockey. So when I actually returned to the game, I had a lot of catching up to do as a player. But at the same time, I had a coach in high school who kind of told me, like, you've got this ability to transfer information to others really well. Try and start working on your coaching badges, coaching qualifications. And at the time I thought, this guy is talking to a 17-year-old. I've got plans of doing other things, playing professional sport, but I'll take my hat off to him because he actually set the next probably 10 to 15 years of my life in motion. And I was able to return to South Africa and start that journey, start that process at school level, into club level, eventually went to provincial level. And about 6 years ago, I was introduced to a company called Sportways, which is a massive Dutch coaching organization. And they are kind of like world leaders when it comes to growing the game in other parts of the world outside of Holland, investing in coaches, investing in the development of hockey. And that's been a massive factor in me loving the game so much more, exposing myself to different environments and structures, and then it led me to Bermuda.
Mm.
Well done, Keith. Well done, Keith.
One of the key things that even Coben mentioned was the Sportways. We've got a good relationship with Sportways. They first came 4 years ago, I want to say.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and then we've had the same coach come every year. He brings somebody else. Unfortunately, he won't make it this year. But those guys come with that energy and level, and the kids love them. Even some of the adults, they transpose that love of that game to the community here. And with Coben's background with that, he's bringing that sort of level of energy and enthusiasm and excitement for that. So it's going to be great. I mean, they've got, like you said, the Dutch have a great philosophy, and I'm sure he's just picked up all the same tricks.
Coben, let me ask you, what type of coach are you? Are you attacking minded? Are you defensive minded? Are you possession minded?
Don't give away any secrets before the competition. I'm just saying.
We're talking about the coach.
Girls win.
Girls win. Well, yeah.
We can give the game plan, but it's. I think I would say that my style is inclusive. I always want to be ahead of the game, and I think if I just coach the way that I played, or like what I'd seen in the past, I think the evolution of sport just kind of stagnates because we just keep doing the same things. Yeah. So I put a lot of trust and faith in my players to be able to problem solve. So I want to be able to see the game a step of everyone else, and I put a lot of trust in my squad. So when I say I'm an inclusive coach, I can only do so much from the sidelines. So investing in the human, investing in the relationships with the people is so valuable, because you want that level of trust, you want that level of loyalty, and you want to give them that safety that when they're on the field, they can actually express themselves. yeah, I mean, we could potentially be playing a brand of hockey that hasn't been seen before, and that could come from the creativity and freedom that the squad has.
The other thing I wanted to ask you was about mixing the men and the women together. I know a lot of times people would have women mix with men to help them get faster, stronger. What is your philosophy with that?
I think there's benefits, positives and negatives to either side. I think to create an environment where women are able to compete, with the men, it raises the intensity of their game, the environment that they play in. I think it definitely challenges the men because, you also have to step up and you can't allow simple things to go. But I think in terms of building a culture, where a place where you want the sport to grow, I think that's probably the best part. So if you can get, more people down to sessions, more people down to playing in the league eventually starts to grow. And then in time with, the quality of the structure and the development program, then the standards improve, the quality of the can improve. So I think at the start, it's a good way to build something.
Jay?
I'm just listening to you talk, Kevin. So while you're here, what are some of the major things you would like to accomplish? It sounds like you're almost trying to give somebody not only the change the culture a bit, but also the confidence in players, assessing players, and let them be freely within their game itself while you still give them some instruction. What are some of the things you're really looking to accomplish while you're here?
I can answer that. Get 2 teams into the CAC qualifiers. Into the CAC.
Yeah, I think that's step number 1. Step number 2. That's definitely, that has to be the target. We're going to an event. We obviously, from a national point of view, we want to try and achieve the maximum. I think, it's not just about trying to be top 2. It's obviously trying to win, each game we play, really put a stamp on Bermuda as a national team. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the men haven't had the opportunity to play, in this tournament in a while. So I think from a national point of view, we just want to create that brand. We want to try and make a statement there. But, a big part of sport is ensuring the pipeline is quite strong. So, your youth and your development structures, to try to invest in the coaches, because there's a lot of guys that volunteer here, people that are just, pure passionate individuals that are associated with hockey. So I think to try to look after the pathway of, a junior player that looks, through each level, trying to see if we can have an impact on, trying to create something really strong, really concrete, solid foundation. I think that'll just generate talents, consistently for the future as well. So I'm hoping I can have some input and some value there.
Okay. We're going to take another commercial break, and when we come back, we'll have more with Kevin Moody, the Bermuda Hockey National Coach, as well as the President of the Bermuda Hockey Federation, Mr. Keith DeSilva. And just an update, Somerset has just scored. It's 1-0 at the Somerset Cricket Club. Somerset Trojans over St. George's Colts. We'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
Here's a feature brand that's been around since the 60s, when the food awareness revolution was just kicking off. Bob's Red Mill Natural Foods. Bob's Red Mill is America's leading miller of diverse whole grain foods and specializes in natural certified organic and gluten-free products. Only whole grains have their native potent nutritional value, and once you try them, you'll know that this is the way food was intended to be, with dietary fiber, vitamins and minerals, and serious flavor and texture. Try Bob's Red Mill gluten-free and all-purpose baking flour. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Welcome back. Coven, with such a short period of time before this tournament takes place, what would be one of the first things you would want to work on to prepare both the male and the female teams for competition?
So the time frame is like, it just sort of like requires us to be like resourceful as possible. So I think the first step for us is just to try to create the right training environments. So we're busy going through like that process. We're going to try and create a training group. We're working on trying to give them as much technical training, tactical implementation, trying to incorporate fitness, progressive that we put in. I've also been in contact with a couple of specialists in the field, so a fitness trainer, someone who the island, so like people to come in and give us a bit of insight into different aspects that will influence our performance at the tournament. And we're going to try and put this whole package together that we have. We can give the players enough preparation to allow them to succeed in tournaments.
Okay.
Mr. President, we've had you on quite a bit in the last couple of years. I finally got to see a smile on your face. Just knowing that this tournament is on the horizon, how do you feel as a president finally you're seeing some light at the end of this tunnel?
I think you know what, everyone's looking for this light at the end of the tunnel, regardless of what the sport is. COVID and I know the other COVID has really played havoc on everyone globally for the last 2 years, right? We've been pushing this competition. This is the second year we were supposed to have it. We're seeing that light. We're seeing people get excited. Like you said, tonight was probably one of the first nights where we've seen both teams have a full team plus reserves. Everyone putting in the effort. We've got a lot of people showing up, a lot of people coming back. It'll be good for the island just to get that activity. A couple of countries coming in just to see it all start to happen again. It's been a long time waiting, and hopefully, like I said, with COVID here, the sustainability, building that foundation, developing that foundation, keeping that foundation going will show that we've got a future, right? We can go away and start seeing some of our teams go do competitions in other aspects, right? And that was one of the big things for us is we had a younger group ready to line up for Disney and a couple other competitions, and with COVID hit, we had to stop. And then they're eager to see a light at the end of the tunnel too. So it's not just me. We've got the entire league, the entire club who's sitting there looking for something to happen, and this is happening. I'm hoping it just brings us together. We're seeing the Hockey Academy stepping up. They're in the fold. They're excited. They're working with us. So we're seeing progress, which is good.
When we look at the sport, we've seen across, especially in our region, other countries have been able to get some competitions going, especially international competitions. Looking at it, how far do you think we are off in what you've seen of the other countries that have been playing?
I think when because I'm never going to use that if word. When we qualify, we've got a lot of work. I mean, I think part of our aspect is our region includes Argentina, Canada, US. We've got top teams that we'd have to go up against. So, in our Caribbean region, the games that I've seen, we're on par with them. It's just the opportunity is just never presented to us. We're trying to put a good base, give the players an opportunity, get them on the field, get a good coach, get the fitness, give them all the opportunity they can, so we can put ourselves forward. And that's all we can expect, right? I've said this to other people before, whether we win or we lose, we want to win, but we also want to, show the respect for the island, put our best foot forward, put 110% in. If you put the effort in, you make the island proud. It doesn't matter, right? But a win, we're looking for a win.
So Keith, let me ask you this. You say there's a lot of people coming back, and they're kind of inspired by the fact that we have this international competition. But what is the plan to keep them? Because we're generating this interest because of an event when we have a league that could actually benefit from having these people around more regularly.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's going to be a difficult one. You always get players who are here for a goal, and when that goal disappears, they disappear. And we've seen that in the past with other events where players they kind of lose interest, the steam disappears, and this is where I think for this particular, it's important that we do well. If we do well, our goalposts move, and we now have another goal to meet. We do well in that one, we have another goal, and we just continue pushing that goalpost, and we keep aiming towards those higher, loftier goals. I mean, that's, this is one of the, these are one of the opening qualifiers. I mean, the Olympics. I mean, there's nothing to say why we can't go. We just have to put the effort and the time in, and we need to get away. And this is our biggest problem on this island is, it's an expensive venture to get off island in order to do the competitions, but we have to give every opportunity to make it there. We have to have that team, as Coven said, it's the sustainability. Get that team, keep the team, keep them training regardless of what happened. I think the last time we had, we didn't qualify, but one of the teams dropped out, but the team had stopped training. So they have to, and this is, again, the youth, the younger players will see this. You have to keep going and have to keep training, because there's always going to be something there, whether you go off to university or there's another competition, or, something might pop. Maybe it's a 5-a-side or an indoor. You've got to keep that training going on, because you never know what's going to happen in the future, right?
True. Jay?
I just want to say thank you, guys. Thank you, Coven. Wish you all the best. Wish the team all the best. And yes, we will qualify. I'm sticking with you, Keith. We will qualify.
Yep. Yeah. Positivity, right?
I got to speak into existence, man. Got to speak into existence.
Exactly.
100%.
All right. Well, gentlemen, we want to thank you very much for your time. And of course, I guess I'll see you guys at the pitch at some point in time over the weekend, and get an update on how we're putting things together for both national teams. It's important that we as a country support, and we give the encouragement where it's needed, and give you, Coven, the support on the sideline that is needed as well. Keep your haircut low, just so people won't know that you're pulling it out, because Bermuda could be a little rough sometimes. If I can give you any advice, that's the advice I'm giving you. See why? See?
Yeah, exactly. I try to hide mine as well as I can.
And if I tell Jay take his hat off, here you go. See? So we're just letting you know. All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you very, very much. And we look forward to speaking with you guys again as the tournament gets closer, because I think it's important that we as a country, and Keith, you would know that Bermudians love sports. They love to support sports. And I think giving as much information as early as possible for this particular event, I think will gain more interest and get some people down at the National Sports Center to support the Bermuda teams when they take to the field to represent us and to move forward into the CAC games.
Absolutely.
Okay? So we're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll wrap up this edition of the Island Stat Sports Show. We'll be right back.
putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
John Barrett & Son, our favorite beverage distributor, is bringing us an up-to-the-minute spin on the ever-popular Perrier Sparkling Spring Water. Perrier Energized, the plant-based organic energy water powered by caffeine sourced from organic green coffee and organic yerba mate, a medicinal herb from Paraguay. New Perrier Energized is lightly sweetened with organic cane sugar, so it's low in calories and has as much caffeine as an 8-ounce cup of coffee. Try all 3 flavors of Perrier Energized: grapefruit, pomegranate, and tangerine. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
And welcome back. Well, Jay, 2 events that we're looking forward to. Well, obviously 3. This weekend with the young track athletes heading off to Florida. Hopefully the April 9th event will come off. And ironically, the following weekend will be the hockey at the National Sports Center. So things to look forward to, and support the country.
Yeah, happy times, Earl. One thing I can say, I just listen, with both conversations. I think sometimes a lot of our sports work in isolation. When I say isolation, most of our sports have the same challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Sustainability, we heard that in both conversations. At a certain age, there's drop off or for whatever reasons. Hopefully that we can talk amongst sports to help with what may be working for you, or what some of your challenges, and try to use those resources, because we all know the template. What's needed for sustainability is having that strong foundation, as Coach mentioned. We heard Mr. Evans talk about the same thing. We know the pipeline that's needed to go forward, to become a world power per se in any particular sport. But how do we collectively, and I think we probably could do more as a society and as sports around the island to talk more about some of our challenges, because a lot of these things, and I'm listening even to tonight, we know that even with our young ladies down last night in Florida, right? We know as athletes, competition is everything, Earl. Getting that higher quality of competition so we can see our athletes shine. Mm-hmm. So we know that's going to take financial. It's going to be financial, because we're going to have to pretty much get off the island to make that happen.
Well, I think what you speak about, they started some years ago, the National Sports Governing Bodies of Bermuda. They collaborate because that's all our national sports together, all our sports together under one umbrella, discussing options, issues, and so forth. Obviously, with COVID, a lot of that stopped, but we could see that actually starting to work itself out as we get back into some normalcy of having events, and then they can collaborate even more. As you said, talk about what we do well and what you do well. We might be opposite of what I do bad and what they do. You know what I mean? So it's the opportunity to share information. It'll be an opportunity to collaborate, get people to assist from other sports, because that's the key. If you're having a major event and another sport can assist, as we've seen, Eastern County, that's a cricket event, but on the gate you have netball, Bermuda Netball Association. You know what I mean? So they're working it out for, some funds behind it. So a sport helping another sport, giving another sport an opportunity. So it's always open for relationships of that kind. I think it's a great thing to collaborate, especially amongst the community of sports, because in somehow, some way, we're all related.
And what draws us to is competition, right? We love competition. Whether we understand the rules or the intricacies of the sport, we still love the competition. So as athletes, it doesn't matter. And I think, and I'm just using it as a broad stroke because of the fact that, we've seen, I always have the same thing, even when it comes to clubs in itself. Sometimes we'll just go isolated and say, you know what, this club is going to go away or that club's going to go away. Well, you know what, hey, let's get a select of all the clubs and whatever. We could challenge the people that need to be challenged, because sometimes our athletes who are probably loyal to a club, who are not in a position to go further or take these trips, whatever. But since they're loyal to the club, they get left behind.
Right.
We still don't see the true, what they really could do if they was made in that position. So
the opportunity to present,
it's personally, like I said, I think this COVID has really probably made everybody sit back, assess what we've been doing so far, how successful have we been doing it so far, and let's see where we can improve on it. And I think, like I said, when we heard the stories of Flora, when we heard the stories of Janai parenting, when we watched the young ladies last night, to see where women's football has come from, and to see the way they played last night, or even against Jamaica, but to see where they came from, man, you see the growth, you can see it. It's so I'm pretty sure if the hockey and even with track athletes, big thing on the East Coast was obviously pen relays and all these different things. But just think now, if every year, all our youngsters knew that we're going to here, and we're going to here, we're going to here. It's 3 events, one in summer, winter, whatever the case may be. That incentive will always keep you going if you're trying to thrive in the sport.
Sure, without a doubt.
Take that to the next sport, hockey. You're looking for those competitions around. Whether you're going to be playing against your local team here, you want to make sure that you want to get back to that tournament or get to that. I remember years ago it was the Deodora Cup or all these other things. Well, you remember, right? Why you remember? Because you wanted to go, right? That was something. So I think we know those type of things work, but we also know they cost some money.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
And that's where I think that with administrators, they're going to have to be creative, because in these times it's going to probably money will be tight. But I think we're going to have to be creative, and now once again share resources.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Jay, we've come to the end of another edition of the Island Stat Sports Show. Hopefully you have a successful week. We don't know what these days are going to bring us. We keep hearing sad news over and over and over. So all I can say to people is love your family, your friends, and everyone, because you never know when you'll ever see that person again. So, true,
man. So true.
Yeah. So with that, we say good night.
Good night.